is exactly the reason why I try to get out as many videos regarding various subjects as possible. In this particular video, I learned something about what's going on in North Carolina. For those of you who are not aware of the hierarchy, the FBI comes under the jurisdiction of the Department of Justice. Okay, the Department of Justice is run by the Attorney General. That's the hierarchy. It's not the president running the FBI, it's the Attorney General. In this clip, you're going to hear what North Carolina has done. What they have done is they have taken the state investigative agency, State Bureau of Investigation of North Carolina, which was formerly under the Attorney General, reported to the Attorney General. They have taken that out from under the Attorney General and now having it report directly to the governor. Okay, so that is just like taking the FBI out from under the Attorney General, Department of Justice, and having the FBI report directly to the President of the United States. That's not how the system was designed. Okay, that's not how the system should be designed. The top law enforcement officer of the state should have control, okay, or oversight, direct oversight over the investigative bureau of the state, not the governor. So in my mind, this is just another example of government overreach that the Republicans scream blue murder that there's too much of, yet this is a Republican governor and legislature that are doing this. Here's the clip.
It's Reverend William Barber, president of the North Carolina NAACP. And Reverend Barber, you heard, hopefully we're able to hear Ron Mott's report, that there's some finger pointing now going on with the mayor of Charlotte calling on the State Bureau of Investigations, the SBI, to release this videotaped information. And SBI saying, no, that's for the police department in the city of Charlotte to do. What do you understand is the fact of who has the authority to release this video, if anyone?
Well, let me first say, Joe, thank you for your reporting, and also to say that the clergy and the youth and all have been working together in Charlotte. And when it comes to that violence, I want to be very clear on that. 99.999% of the people have protested nonviolent justice protests. There is anger and there is stress and there's distrust, but they are choosing to do it in a way that reflects that anger, but it's not bad and with violence. And I want to applaud that. Now, on the tapes, we have called on the governor, the AG, the mayor, the FBI, the prosecutor, the city council, and all of them to unite together and release these tapes. As you know, there are other tapes that are beginning to leak. There are other tapes that are beginning to leak. And it can be done. Now, the problem is we have a governor who has signed a law opposing releasing these videos. We have an attorney general who said they ought to be released. The mayor is saying that it ought to be released. The citizens and the families are saying that it ought to be released. The police chief is saying it shouldn't be released. And it only feeds into this conspiracy, this cover-up. What we now know is that there are a lot of things that we didn't know that there was a plea for this man's life, that he was they were told he had a traumatic brain injury. We know now that he was shot. We know that the wife said that he was shot multiple times. We know that the wife said that he had just taken his medicine. That we need transparency. So what we're now saying is we need the tapes released and we need a federal investigation, Joy, because your audience may not know this. The North Carolina legislature and the governor took the SBI from under the Attorney General's office. And you need to understand that the top elected law officer no longer controls the SBI. and that is a concern in this case. And so the FBI is controlled by the governor, who doesn't want the tapes to be released in the first place.
Does the word fascist mean anything to you? Fascism is a political system headed by a dictator in which the government controls business, labor, and opposition to it, and everything that it does is not permitted. It's an authoritarian and nationalistic right-wing system of government and social organization. It is intolerant of views and practices of other systems or people. This governor has turned the state of North Carolina into a fascist state.
And that, I think, goes to the kind of distrust that we're hearing from people, not only about what happened. Reverend Barber, you saw yesterday there was plenty of analysis of that, of the video that was released by the wife of Mr. Scott. And inevitably, there could have been other people who had cell phones who could have recorded aspects of it, too. Are you hearing that people, you know, believe that there was some sort of a cover-up or conspiracy by the officers? Or is it just that people want the information to be made public?
Well, there's a lot of rumors about that and what happened, as you know. In fact, I can't say much about it because of our lawyers and that, but the clergy and others had to turn over, you know, a video that has been out there on social media that has some very concerning pictures out there. And so it's a lot of things coming over. When we talk about, and I want another aspect on the FBI, see, when people say, the prosecutor brought in the FBI. That's not exactly true. The law says the family, if they ask for it, they have to come in. So it's not as though there has been all of this attempt by the local authorities to have an independent investigation. There is a whole lot of rumor, concern, pictures showing up saying something wasn't there, something was there. And the only way we can have freedom from all of this is to have transparency. We know this, Joy, that if that tape was conclusive, it would have been released. We believe that. If there was a tape, for instance, that showed a black man shooting a cop, and it was clear, the tape would be released. Everywhere where it's conclusive, the tape has been released. The problem here is it only feeds the suspicion when the tape is not released. And for instance, when on the first day the chief talked about it, he said a gunman. But then when the tapes were released, he said, well, they weren't conclusive. Yeah. So how do you make a definitive statement one day and then have to come back and say it's not conclusive another day?
Yeah. Well, a lot is going on, Reverend Barber. I know that we can count on you to keep an eye on it for us. We will hopefully be able to talk to you about this again. I know your time is short today, so thank you.
All right, so that's Reverend Barber's take on the situation, but Governor McCrory and the Republican-controlled legislature have turned the state of North Carolina into a fascist state. Plain and simple.